Thank you for joining us. Now deal with lecture number 2. This is what we call the Vas ceiling. Here is a graph that shows the development of Vas. Remember, Vas is the number of elements that you can hold in short-term memory. The green line is the average. And remember from the first lecture that you need level 3, which is here, going across the bold line. You need level 3 before you can use whole word processing with any degree of accuracy. And you'll see that the green line crosses the level 3 Vas around about the age of 7 years and 7 months. Prior to that, you are processing only 2 letters in words. The lower line is a typical low Vas child, a child who doesn't have the average Vas levels. Now I want to draw your attention to the fact that these lines are parallel, so that the child with low Vas may never catch up to the average or higher Vas levels. But I want to look at the position of a child on the blue line, who is a child who is 8 years of age. This child has a Vas level of 2.6. If you knew that, because we know the typical curves, and where they're all parallel, we can predict that this child will not reach Vas level 3, the minimum level for whole word processing, until position B. That is at the age of 9 years and 7 months. So you would expect, if you have a child with low Vas, that sight words are going to be difficult to establish. But you knew this before you even started teaching. Conversely, let's say the situation is you have a child at position C. This is a 12-year-old child. He has low Vas. He has a Vas of 3.2, but he's always been below the average Vas, which would be close to 4. But if you have a child at the age of 12 who has a low Vas of 3.2, if you find that this child does not have phonics skills, he doesn't have good, reliable phonics skills, it means that he has never had good phonics skills. He hasn't forgotten them, he's never had them. This graph tells you that he didn't have whole word processing until position B, the age of 9 years, 7 months, which means that prior to position B, this child did not have whole word processing because his Vas level was too low, but he also didn't have phonic levels because even at the age of 12, he still doesn't have phonic levels. This child, therefore, you know, just from measuring his phonic skills and his Vas levels, you know that this child was a non-reader from the time he started school to the age of 9 years and 7 months, by which time you're going to get war-producing personality and you'll get habitual bad habits. But I want to talk to you about the high Vas child. This is the red line at the top. The red line at the top indicates that he crossed the 3 threshold, the minimum level for whole word processing, very early, around about the age of 6 years and 4 months. But you see the curve climbs but then flattens, as do all the other curves. He never gets much above level 5. One of the things that we found when we looked at children was that children who were guest dependent have a ceiling. If the words exceed their Vas level plus 2, this is a rule of thumb, the word accuracy tends to fall off, which means that if you have a child who has a Vas level of 3, you add 2 to it, that's 5. It means that 5-letter words are the limit beyond which accuracy tends to deteriorate. But let's look back at the graph. The red line indicates that we don't get much above level 5, even in a good reader. If you apply your formula of Vas plus 2, that means 5 plus 2 is 7. We predicted in papers we wrote back in 1988 that there should be problems for guest-dependent children with long words that exceed 7 letters. In other words, 3-syllabic words. Here is the evidence. These are regular 3-syllabic words which a child in grade 2 who's been taught phonics would have no trouble in reading. You'll notice that look at the green lines, at the age of 13, over 80% of failing readers cannot read simple 3-syllable words. If you look at the age of 13 again, you'll see the blue line, which is your average child, almost 50% of those can't read 3-letter words. This is the disaster that we predicted back in 1988. And if you think you've now understood Vas theory and Vas ceiling and the interaction between Vas and phonics, consider applying for testing and registration as a Vas certified tester. We will nurse you through the procedure.